The Competition Commission launching an inquiry into the fresh produce market in a bid to curb uncompetitive conduct in the sector's value chain and protect consumers from paying higher prices. Business reporter Ntokozo Khumalo is at the launch and joins us now. Ntokozo, good morning to you. When can South Africans expect this probe to kick off, and what prompted it in the first place?
Good morning, Xoli. Well, I'm sure most South Africans are actually hoping that this inquiry would kick off as soon as possible. But what we've just heard from the launch this morning is that it will kick off on the 31st of March. And just to give us a little bit more insights into the inquiry, I am now joined by the chairperson who will be leading the Food Producers Market Inquiry, Mr. Harden Rachisusu. Thank you so much for talking to us. Now, we had quite a bit of detail into the inquiry with questions around why now. Give us a little bit of insights on the inquiry and what will actually be investigated.
So thank you very much. What we have done today is to start this inquiry into fresh produce markets and specific fresh produce. Why we are doing this? We have picked up through our various monitoring reports that there's a lot of volatility in prices in South Africa. So you don't really understand what's going on. So this quarter prices are increasing, next quarter prices are decreasing. But also at the same time, consumers have raised complaints with the Competition Commission of South Africa. We constantly receive these complaints. We have now aggregated this information, and our assessment is that the best instrument for us to understand what's going on in fresh produce in South Africa is to initiate this inquiry instead of investigating each and every company individually. So this is a more also cost-effective way of doing it, but it also allows us to fully address the concerns within a reasonable time.
Now, obviously, this inquiry will be a benefit to a lot of South Africans that are under a lot of pressure when it comes to the cost of living. Could you just tell us on what produce will actually be probed? I know you're not going industry-wide, but also what stakeholders will actually benefit from this? I know you did mention the small-scale farmers or the small-scale guys within the industry.
So we have picked important fruits and vegetables. I think on fruits you'll have bananas, apples, table grapes, citrus, and vegetables. These are common vegetables that form the basket of almost every consumer in South Africa, be it middle class or very hard-pressed, consumers. These are your spinach, potatoes, tomatoes, and the like. And we have picked produce that constitute at least 70% of what we farm in South Africa and what we sell. That way, we are looking at the significance of this, and it allows us to zoom into a value chain. Just to give you an example, for a price of tomato at the retail, there are a lot of inputs into that, from fertilizer, the kinds of agreements that suppliers have entered into. So we need to fully investigate this, and this will allow us to understand, and will open this inquiry for participation to the wider population. We'll visit almost all provinces in our country to make sure that we collect the relevant information and make informed conclusions.
The inquiry is expected to take about 18 months. When can that report be expected, and where does that report go to once the inquiry is done?
What the law requires is for us, within 18 months, produce a final report. Eventually, this report is tabled in Parliament. It has to go through the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Competition, but there are remedies that are of a binding nature that the Commission imposes. So there is a procedural process where it's tabled and discussed in Parliament. We expect 12 months from now to release a provisional report, which will then detail how far we have come with this inquiry, but there will still be a lot of work before that. Public hearings, extensive requests for information. We've published a statement of issues, details all the questions that we would like to look at as the Commission.
Thank you so much for those insights. Of course, that was Hardin Rachisusu. He is going to be the chairperson of the Food Produce Market Inquiry. As we said at the top of the interview, the inquiry will kick off on the 31st of March and expected to take 18 months, with the inquiry really going to all corners of South Africa to, and the role that it wants to play is to actually curb uncompetitive conduct within the space to ensure that South African consumers are protected from those rising costs.
Ntokozo Khumalo, thank you very much. Our business reporter here at Newzroom Afrika. Looking forward to that particular report.